Hi there everybody, it's UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator Helzie here from SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be creating this card. So earlier on in the week I actually sat one evening and thought, oh, do you know what, I'll look at Pinterest for 5 minutes. Turned into about 5 hours. But I did stumble across a card that utilised different coloured cardstock in this sort of effect. They actually had a few other colours in as well, which looked very lovely, but that's not really my style because it was really busy. I thought, do you know what, I could do the same thing and cut it down to 2. So I did, and I kept it at smoky slate and basic white, and I'm going to show you how to create this. And you know what, it's really good for creating 2 cards quite easily. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, so you're going to need your base cardstock, so I've got that here, and then you're going to need your layer. So your layer's 10 centimeters by 14.3 centimeters, and it sits on like that. Okay, what you want is you want a smoky slate piece and a basic white piece that is exactly the same size. Okay, give or take, that pretty much is. Okay, and then what you want is your trimmer, and let me show you how to make this card. So you want to pop in both sheets, but at different times. Okay, so you want to pop in the white one, and what you want to do is you want to line up both corners with the actual cutting marks. Okay, so if I just lift this up, hopefully you can see that the corner is exactly where it's going to be cut. So it's a straight diagonal from corner to corner, like that. Once you've done the basic white piece, you want to do the smoky slate piece exactly the same way. Line it up in the cutting marks. Okay. And then you've got one front piece like that, and another front piece like that. Okay, and I mean you can turn it around either which way so you can get it the way you want it. I like it with the top of my card being smoky slate and the bottom of my card being basic white. Really up to you. Hi guys, so I'm just going to add a little brief apology in here. I'm having some serious issues with my phone today. It is literally just cutting out part way through filming, but it's not telling me when it is cutting out, and then it turns itself off about 5 or so minutes later. So I've actually made a whole host of this exact same card today trying to film it, and it's just cut off. I don't want to start again, so I'm going to start from where it cut off last time. I did manage to get to this far in my creating, but I know the video cut off well before then. So I'm going to start where the video cut off, which was where I had 2 diagonal bits that formed a half like that so that we could do my card. Okay, these are the cards we're making, so you need to pop it into your Stamparatus. A stamp positioning tool is best for this because the smoky slate card is actually thicker than the basic white cardstock, so you're going to want to definitely make sure that you stamp and ink this a couple of times to get it right. Okay, so I'm just going to put that in. I like the white being towards the bottom corner, but I can only use my lever this way on my table because I don't have enough room that way, so I'm just going to have to pop it onto the side, but I'll remember that it's sideways. Okay, really make sure that it's lined up in the corner. That's going to be so important to the finished card. Okay, the reason why I have got so many bits of magnets on my Stamparatus is because these magnets are really powerful, and when you get them close to each other they go poof, and then they explode and they go in halves. I never listen to my own advice that I give to you guys, and mine blew in half, didn't it? So remembering that it's on the side, I'm just going to pop my stamp in. What you want to do is you want to get as much different variations of colour into this half of the card. Okay, you don't want it just to be the green and the orange, so make sure some of these flowers are also featured on that half. Okay, so I'm just going to drop it down towards the centre, but making sure I've got variants of colours. Okay, bring the lid down. and then turn it around for stamping. Okay, I'm going to pop the stamp set just to the side so that I've got a firm base for inking it up. And there we go. Okay, and pop it in. And you'll see what I mean in a minute about why you need a stamp positioning tool, because you'll see it's gone quite dark on the white, not as dark on the grey, which is the smoky slate. And also you've got this delightful line down the middle because this is thicker and so it's not reaching there. So what you just need to do is re-ink it up again. And stamp it down. Tell you what, I love this technique, but I'm not sure I love it the hundreds of cards worth have made it. So if I keep pausing now through my talking, it is because I'm going back just to double check that we're still filming. Okay, I'm just going to ink the top half of this up because I feel the bottom half is now dark enough, but the top half just needs a little bit more. Okay, and I can just push down and push down on there as hard as I like it. Okay, and there we go, much better, and it's all joined up. Okay, so now I can whip this out the Stamparatus and get ready for colouring. I've got lots of colours on my desk for this card, so you're just going to need the bottom half. And for the leaves, I have got light and dark granny apple green, I've got dark mossy meadow. Okay, so like I said, you're going to want to get as much colour as possible onto this card. So I'm starting with a dark granny apple green. The reason why you want this bottom half to be so colourful is you want it to try and make up for the top half that isn't going to have as much colour on. Okay. So I'm just doing the shaded areas in the dark granny apple green and going up the one side of the leaf, and then I'm going to use the dark mossy meadow. Now I'm having problems with my dark mossy meadow because it's doing this. If you ever have problems with your Stampin' Blends and this happens, it's not really broken. It is literally just that it's coming loose from the fixture, and the way to just solve it is just pull that out like that and pop it in there. This isn't messy, look. You can touch that as much as you like, it's not going to create a mess on your table, but you can just then pop that back in, hear the click, and you're all still good to go. Okay. So you just want to play with this just down the very base of each of them, just to try and get some extra texture through there. Okay, and then I'm going to use the dark granny apple green. Again, I'm going to run through what was dark before, incorporating the mossy meadow. So I'm just going up and down so that it brings the mossy meadow into the dark granny apple green and blends it nice. And it just creates a real deep base down the bottom of the leaves. It's all about texture on this one. You'll notice I'm not going all the way to the edges because that's what my light granny apple green is for. I have got so many blends on my table for this project. Honestly, there's loads. So I'm starting, you'll notice, from the tip this time and working it back into the dark, okay? And there we go, there's the leaves. Next up is the centre of the flowers. So I have got light soft suede, which I'm just going to pop in the edge of these middle bits here. If you get stuck about which bit's which, you can always bring both pieces of card back together and you can just see then that that bit there is also part of the middle bit. Okay. Once you've used the dark soft suede, you then want to use dark daffodil delight over the soft suede and just outside of it. Okay. And then light so saffron over all of it. Okay, and then that just softens it up a little bit. All right, next up I've got dark pale papaya, light pale papaya, and light pumpkin pie. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take the light pale papaya, and I'm just going to, and I'm using the brush tip here, so you can see I'm not really being that precise with it. I'm just getting the colour onto these petals just so we've got sort of a foundation to work with. Okay, so once you've used the light pale papaya, you want to come over it with the dark pale papaya, and the dark bit is sort of going around where the shading is on each petal. Okay, just to really make the flower look like it's popping out the page. Okay, and then finally the light pumpkin pie. This is just going to go around the center of the flower in sort of like a little circle around that area. It's just going to be really bright, and therefore just give it that little bit more to pop out of. Okay, this flower here, I did this with my pinky colours. So I started off with light flirty flamingo and covered the whole leaves with that. Actually, I did that with a brush tool like I did the pale papaya, just to get it on quick. Okay, then I shot up to the other end and I used light polished pink, and for that I just did a sort of little base there. Okay, now you probably see that they don't go fantastically well, so that's why you use the dark flirty flamingo just to run over the top of both of them and blend them into each other. Okay, and that's what really creates a deep colour here. Okay, and then when you pop it back together, you'll see it goes like that. Finally, the last one, I have got light and dark Highland Heather, just here. No, I haven't. Yes, I have. There we are. Light and dark Highland Heather, and this here's dark freesia, fresh freesia. So I'm going to use the dark Highland Heather first. I'm just going to go from the outside, and I'm just going to drag that all the way up the leaf and the petal. Like that. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with the light, but I'm only going to take that to about there. I'm just going to leave the edge in, which is where I'm going to bring in the dark fresh freesia, and I'm going to go over the whole petal. Okay, and finally, very last blend, but very important blend, is the Smoky Slate, and this is what's going to just tie it all in together. So you'll notice you just go round your actual picture to tie it in. So I'm just going to do that quickly now. When you get to a bit that actually, let me show you what I mean. This one's a classic one. If you go around all of that, it will leave a white gap in there. You don't want that, just covering the gap. Otherwise it just looks a bit silly. Just whiz around there quickly. It's just a really good effect for making this actually look like it's 3D and off the paper. Doesn't take very long, but makes all the difference. Okay, now this is a little trick of mine that I did, and I find it a lot easier, and I'm going to be using a couple of post-it notes. So there's my first one and there's my second one. Okay, and I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm only going to cut the adhesive bit. I don't want any bit that's not adhesive. Okay, post-it notes are really thin, so they're great. You can stick them under a card layer and you won't know they're there. but you'll only not know they're there if they're stuck down fully. If they're loose, because they haven't got any sticky on, they're going to be no good on your card. So then I'm just going to turn this over and use my Post-it notes on the back, and then attach the smoky slate piece on top. Make sure it's all lined up. And there we go. Now, if you're like me and you're looking at that and thinking that doesn't look that lined up, it's not, it's just off in the corner. So because you've used your Post-it note, you can just peel this off and reposition it. Whereas if you just stuck it straight away onto your basic card without doing that, yeah, you wouldn't have been able to reposition it. So that is why I think it's a really good idea to actually have the Post-it note piece. Okay, you can chop off the bit that's peeking through. So then you want your base cardstock. I've got mine just here. And you want to just adhere this to the card. So I'm going to use my Stampin' seal for that. So I'm just going to come in with a seal and I'm going to put it over the entirety of the card, including the Post-it note piece, because that will just stay on underneath. And because it's so thin, no one will ever know, but it's just another way of keeping everything together. So I'm going up either side of the Post-it note and I'm going up on top of it. Okay, and then I'm just going to layer that onto there, stick it down and put that down like that. Okay, to finish the card off, I'm just going to grab the sentiment, which is this one here, have a perfect birthday, and I'm using smoky slate for that. There are some lovely sentiments in this set, but this was the only one that really fit along the bottom for this card. Okay, you could choose another sentiment from another card, or you could put a layered piece, but up to you. So I'm just going to stamp that in the corner of the matted piece, and to finish it off I'm going to grab a couple of our rhinestones and I'll take a pick tool. I'm just going to use these 3 little ones over here, and I'm going to put one in the corner, one just beneath the writing, and then one in the middle of that for some bling. What I was thinking of doing originally for the effect was covering all of the nude bit up here with Wink Stella, but I decided against that because I felt, you know what, there's already quite a bit going on with the card. All right, so I hope you enjoyed. I am really hoping this has carried on recording to the end of this video. Everything I've used today is available from SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net. Thank you for joining. If you do try this technique and try this card, please do put a picture up of it on Instagram and tag me at SlimmandStylish, because I love to see everything that you're creating. Thanks for following me, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.
I hope you've enjoyed today's project. All items that I have used on this video are available to purchase from my store, www.SlimmandStylish.stampinup.net. Alternatively, if you would like a copy of our catalogues, please send me an email to slimandstylish@live.co.uk or leave me a comment below and I'll get in touch with you. I upload regular content to this channel, so if you do enjoy watching my tutorials, please make sure that you have subscribed and rang the bell to get notifications when new videos go live. Thank you for joining me and have a lovely day.